Hello. Howdy. Hi and welcome. Broadcasting to you live from the Milky Way galaxy, the solar system, planet Earth, North America, the United States of America, no longer Los Angeles, California. My name is Brian Engelman, and this is Thursday, October 24th, 2024. And my name is Brian Engelman. As I said, this is Strictly Browns on the Unhappy Hour Sports Show, powered by the New American Media. Yes, there's a lot of different brands, a lot of different things that I do, so hit subscribe to all of them, please. Today I want to talk about the Cleveland Frowns. Yes, the Cleveland Clowns. Let's talk about the game. Oh, my goodness. So the Browns end up losing this game. On that play right there, Deshaun Watson goes down. And, towel over his head. He's in tears. Could this have gone any worse for Deshaun and the Cleveland Browns? So the stats are, look, the Browns were in it, tied the game up in the second quarter, 7-7. Oh, wait, even Dustin Hopkins. A lot of DeAndre Hopkins talk on the brain. Didn't he just go to the Chiefs? Yeah, even Dustin Hopkins missed an extra point. So instead of being tied at the half, we were now trailing 6-7. Cincinnati came out really strong in the third, putting 14 points on the board. Cleveland 8 in the fourth, but end up losing ultimately by a touchdown. 14-21. The Cleveland Browns are now amongst the worst in the league. Actually, we are the worst, right? Let's go to league. This is an upside down chart. There's only 4 teams here that have one win. 4 teams. Who's the worst team here? The Browns, the Titans, the Patriots, or the Panthers? I guess Tennessee's ranked a little better because their one win is only through 5 games. Okay. I mean, if this trend continues, we're obviously going to be drafting quarterback, right? Deshaun Watson is done. He's not going to be the future of this franchise. And for a lot of people, there's a lot of thoughts here. There's a lot to unpack. Deshaun Watson came in and broke up a marriage. Baker drafted by the Cleveland Browns. And yeah, it got weird there at the end. You can hardly blame the new person in the relationship if the relationship was on the rocks in the first place. I get all that. But that polarizing decision to not pay Baker and go out and trade the farm for this guy. If it was just a guy, that would be one thing. This was a guy with 100 accusations against him. Look, accusations, whether it's Jussie Smollett, the Covington kid, did I say Trevor Bauer? I don't really believe in accusation. I let things play out how they're going to play out. And Deshaun Watson, look, there were settlements. Now, was Busby the attorney? Was he the bad guy? Is this a shakedown? Is the truth somewhere in the middle? I don't know. I just wanted an extra season of Baker, healthy Baker, to see what we could do. But Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry made the decision. I mean, Stefanski's handwriting was all over this decision. Some people say, oh, he didn't want Watson here. Stop it. If this guy's supposed to be the quarterback whisperer, why didn't Watson work? I heard Tom Brady say that it was only because of the Texans running the same exact offense that they ran at Clemson that he was having success. And so then my question is, well, then why don't you obviously implement the system that they were running successfully at Clemson and in Houston at the Texans? Why wouldn't you do that? I think it's because Kevin Stefanski has to be the smartest guy in the room. But look, it's possible now that like this is year 3 of Deshaun Watson's 5-year fully guaranteed contract. Well, like $74 million cap hit in each of the next 2 seasons. We are in such a weird spot right now. I don't know if we're tanking or if we're trying to win. I don't know the answer to that. Are we tanking or are we trying to win? Let me pull up some of the questions that I came up with for today's program. By the way, hit like and hit subscribe. Also, let me show you this. If you want some of these, check this out. These are wooden coasters, sets of 4. Shoot me a Venmo and I'll send them to you. Sets of 4. These are wooden. They're handmade. One is shaped like the state of Ohio. One is circular. And these are only 100 of these will ever be made. These pins. Shoot me a $75 Venmo gift at Brian Engelman, and I'll send these out to you. I'll mail them out to you. Just give me the address. Wanted to remind you of that because these are super cool, and I want you all to have some. But it's $30 for a set, or it's both sets for $50, and then $75 with the pin all together, and you would get one of each. So shoot me a Venmo, give me your address, and tell me which one you want. Make a donation, and I will shoot those over to you. Some of the questions I wanted to talk about. Let's talk about the game real quick. Nicholas Jamal Chubb goes in for the touchdown. Super great. Everything we've been hoping for. The refs called some ticky-tack, what the heck, even after further review coming back from a commercial break. I believe we're watching it, and they're lining up the people going, what in the world did you call a penalty on? So, look, there is something wrong with the way Cleveland Browns games are officiated. And we need a whistleblower to come forward. You know, it's not just that this is a kid's game. We're just playing a sport. Why does it matter? Look, there are hundreds of millions and billions of dollars on the line. It's all about gambling and, fantasy football and stuff like that. There are real world repercussions to constantly sandbagging a city and sandbagging a team. Maybe because you're mad that they fought to bring their team back after you stole them in 95. Oh, yeah, how dare they fight to bring their thing back? Some say that's what's going on in the Gaza situation. Oh, I said it. I didn't say I support it, agree with it, or disagree with it, but some people kind of make that same thing, make those same points. But some people have said that the NFL is angry at Cleveland and the Browns and the fans and whatever for bringing their team back through expansion. They didn't want that, and so they're going to be forever penalized in weird circumstances. I don't know. I don't know if I fully buy into that, but I will ask you, what the actual fork were you doing taking that Nick Chubb touchdown off the board after he's been out for more than a year with a horrific injury? Why would you try to ruin that moment for him on something that is not even a thing? So I have questions. Congrats, because Nick Chubb did get his first touchdown of the season. I want to ask, why did Dorian Thompson-Robinson get the call instead of Jameis? Why is that? I'm not entirely certain. I mean, Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry did draft Dorian Thompson-Robinson because there's some rumors out there saying, well, Kevin Stefanski never wanted Deshaun Watson. Well, you certainly didn't put double team protection on TJ Watt when he was hammering Baker Mayfield for 5 sacks during the last game of that season. Kevin, it's almost like you were trying to injure Baker Mayfield to ruin his career, actually. So if you didn't like Baker enough to protect him, whether that was intentional or not. Look, I've been over Kevin Stefanski for a couple of years. 0 playoff wins with these rosters. 0. Yeah, that was Baker Mayfield that led that team. Oh, yeah, it was assistant coaches too, but He was the field general who went into Heinz Field without his coach and brought home the victory. Well, Baker didn't do all of that on his own. There was a turnover in that game, and that was mainly because of the defense. There is nothing that a Baker hater can see that they can't accept as, you're right, that's a good point. That was a moment that he showed I can go do some serious next level shit. I am capable of doing the flag plant at the middle of Ohio State Stadium. Now, if you don't like him because of that, I get it. It's an antic, it's an immature thing to do, but it's also a bronzy, bravado, Baker kind of, let's go. If you're the underdog, own it, step up, lean into it. Now, maybe he leaned into it a little too much, Baker Mayfield, and the team couldn't trust him. He was more interested in doing funny videos about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame with Alice Cooper. Did you order these? They were delivered to my house. The boots. Are you sure they're not yours? Yeah, I'm sure. They were great commercials. But, when there's a story about, well, not even the story. When you see the performance from Baker Mayfield throwing all those interceptions against Green Bay, you say, well, how unprepared was he? Was that just a bad game? Was that because of the weather, because of the injury? And then there's some reports he was up playing Call of Duty for 6 hours or something, thinking, I got this under control. I know what I'm doing out there. But, there's changes that were made to the game plan or things you should have picked up on, and more study time would have been helpful. And some of that is like, whatever. Obviously, all it comes down to is what you do on the field. So if you got to get your mind right by, like, if you recognize you're ruminating and overthinking and overprocessing, overthinking, overanalyzing separates the body from the mind. Withering my intuition, urging you to cross the line. What musician said that? But if what you need to do to stop overthinking and to relax is to unwind, man, I don't care what you do to unwind, as long as it's not getting you into some sort of jackpot. I don't care what Deshaun Watson is doing consensually with people. It turns into when it's surprise predatory behavior with people. Anything prearranged, what do I care? But look, it just comes down to what happens on the field. And so these stories about Baker Mayfield, he had a bad season. Oh, well, look, he doesn't take his job seriously. He played too many video games. It's like, there's a story. There's one time a thing. Okay. I hardly think that becomes the main deciding factor of how we approach this. But if Kevin Stefanski is supposed to be the quarterback whisperer, why when Baker Mayfield was injured, wouldn't he just bench him and bring in the backup who he had been working with up in Minnesota? Help me understand that. If Kevin Stefanski is the quarterback whisperer, why have we been on season 3 with Deshaun Watson? And it's not just that we're getting a not great performance, because we've seen Deshaun Watson play perfect for one half of football last year against the Ravens. We saw him play good football a couple times, maybe the Titans or a couple games. We've seen some bad performances from Deshaun, and we've seen some all-time catastrophic, what in the world is going on? A broken and apathetic man is trying to speak a language he doesn't understand in a situation that's getting him physically hurt. That, my friends, falls on Coach Kevin Stefanski. And Andrew Berry and Paul DePodesta. Let me go back to the graphic. I thought I'd pulled the graphic up. Let me show you those. The Browns quickly have to figure out which team they are. Let me read you the names of some good teams real quick. Why don't I get this off the screen? What's happening? Let me read you the names of some good teams. Green Bay Packers, Pittsburgh Steelers, 5-2. These are all 5-2 teams, by the way. Ready? The 5-2 Green Bay Packers, Pittsburgh Steelers, Buffalo Bills, Baltimore Ravens, Houston Texans, and so the surprise Washington Commanders. Look at that. Also the surprise 5-1 Minnesota Vikings. Let me go side by side that way. Actually, let me go back to that. That's fine. Who are the Browns? Are we tanking? And by the way, you can add to that the Minnesota Vikings, the Detroit Lions, and the Kansas City Chiefs. These are the good teams. Look where we are. The 2-4 Miami Dolphins, Los Angeles Rams, the 2-5 Las Vegas Raiders, New York Jets, Jacksonville Jaguars, New Orleans Saints, New York Giants, or the 1-5, 1-6 Tennessee Titans, Cleveland Browns, New England Patriots, Carolina Panthers. Who are the Cleveland Browns going to be? Are they going to snap up a win and jump into the 2-win teams? Are they going to get another win and jump into the 3-win teams? Another win into the 4-win teams? You're talking 5 wins in a row to be a 500 team. Now, is that something that's realistic? Is that something we should expect? I don't know. How likely is it that we should expect this team to lose all their games? I don't know. But you cannot waste the prime of the career for Nick Chubb, Baker Mayfield, Denzel Ward, Myles Garrett without repercussions. Paul DePodesta, down to Andrew Berry, down to Kevin Stefanski. I don't see a way that anyone survives this unless we go on a winning streak. And we can. We saw Joe Flacco come in, take the same exact offense that was sputtering under Watson. It was uneven under Watson with some pretty bad moments. The perfect half against the Ravens when he got hurt, of course. But we were having a hard time with P.J. Walker, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, with Deshaun Watson. And Joe Flacco, man, took us on a run. We got a lot of wins, and we made the playoffs. I'm not saying we can do that this year, but I know with Jameis Winston, he's a guy that takes aim. He lets it rip. He throws a lot of passes. He gets it done. Gets it downfield, makes the plays. He was also notorious. What was it, 50 touchdowns, 50 interceptions, 30 and 30? 30 touchdowns, 30 interceptions, I think it was. I'm thinking the Ohtani 50-50 ball, I think. At some point, all of you autists who can name every precise moment of every statistic in every sport, I mean, kudos to you. You found a neat little niche. I can do some of that. I might not be the best. See, I might have confused the 50-50 with the 30-30 of Jameis Winston. But Jameis Winston can play. And now it turns out Ken Dorsey is going to be making the calls. But let me ask you this. Why did Dorian Thompson-Robinson get the call instead of Jameis Winston? I would just say Dorian Thompson-Robinson got the call instead of Jameis Winston, obviously because of age, obviously because they were drafted into the system, obviously because when they was, compared to when he was thrown to the Wolves, and played terribly last year, they thought, all right, you've had an entire offseason to improve. Here you go. And some people say, look, we've seen glimpses. We've seen glimpses out of Dorian Thompson-Robinson. And honestly, if we're playing for the future, we got to see what we have. Jameis Winston, he's a rental player. He's not in it for the long haul. He's our one-year guy. And you go, oh, okay. So I get under those circumstances why you would start Dorian Thompson-Robinson, but the question is, does he give you the best chance to win? And I don't know. I think it might be Jameis Winston. Dorian Thompson-Robinson threw 2 interceptions and several other really bad throws, dinking and dunking his way to a 3.4-yard average, 19.8 quarterback rating, and 15-point QBR, by the way. Jameis Winston came in, went 5 of 11, 67 yards for a 6.1 average, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. Jameis is getting the start, and guess what else is happening? And look at this game. Look at this. They're throwing it 24 times with Dorian Thompson-Robinson instead of running it to Chubb. Explain the math on this. Why are you not running the damn ball? 2 out of 3 times. 2 out of 3 times with Nick Chubb back. Pierre Strong and Foreman have shown us a couple things. Let them get some of theirs. By the way, DTR with a nice 34-yard run as well. So I don't know that Coach Stefanski wanted to have Ken Dorsey start making the calls, but guess what? It seems like he's been relieved of that duty. There may be finger pointing starting with all of this. Or we could start winning some games. I would prefer to just win out. How about we win out and make the playoffs? Playoffs? Let's do it. Let's win out and make the playoffs. I want to speak that into existence. How about it? I want to win out and make the playoffs. But yeah, why hasn't Kevin Stefanski, the quarterback whisperer, been able to coach Dorian Thompson-Robinson up better than what we saw? 2 interceptions, no touchdowns, no points. And it's just, why is Ken Dorsey calling the plays now? I heard the thought brought up, like, why are we mixing too many variables? If we have a new quarterback, just let's see what Stefanski can do with a new quarterback. That's how it worked last year with Flacco. But now has he been demoted? Because we just got Nick Chubb back. I think it's criminal to not run the ball to Nick Chubb more. He had 2 touchdowns. He only gave him credit for 1. He had to do it twice. Who's to say he wouldn't have broken one off if you wouldn't have kept feeding him? That's strategy, that's play calling. Some of it's the fact that we were trailing in the game. We were trying to catch up instead of run the clock. I get all that, but the new era has begun. Ken Dorsey, offensive coordinator, allegedly, or assistant offensive, whatever his title actually is, Ken Dorsey. He will be calling the plays now for the Cleveland Browns, at least this week. That was announced very specifically. It's oftentimes been shadowy and inconclusive as to who's actually in charge of the play calling duties, but the Cleveland Browns have been historically inept on offense. The only team not to score 20. You've seen some hilarious memes out there because other teams have done that in other sports, except we call them runs in baseball, but not the Browns. Browns can't do that. Can't put 3 touchdowns on the board. Wow. In 4 quarters, can't put 3 touchdowns on the board. That's pathetic. That's not getting it done. And it's go time. The seats are burning hot, scalding hot for Stefanski and for general manager Andrew Berry and for whatever the title of Paul D. Podesta is up in the Browns organization. He's the mastermind of all of this, and it's going to take 2 years to clear out the financial curse that Andrew Berry put us under by going for this Deshaun Watson thing. Now, maybe that was Jimmy Haslam pushing for that, a meddlesome owner. I mean, we really have to ask at this point, what can we do to see if we can get Jimmy Haslam to sell the team? You've had several incarnations of this. This is not just bad. This is historically bad. What do we do? What do we do? Browns play the Ravens this week. We are going to find out. And I don't know. Ravens look pretty tough. What's it going to look like this Sunday? Tune in and find out. I'm going to wrap up Strictly Football now. It's just been a tough week, everybody. I try to do these shows either on Sunday or Monday while I'm thinking about it. But look, if I'm excited, I might jump to it. It's been a tough week losing the Cleveland Guardians. The Tribe lost. Really, just did not play our best baseball, and we got beat by a strong team. I can't say that we played great baseball and we lost. We played some not so great baseball and we got beat. That John Kinsey Noel and that extra innings game, David Fry, that double home run after a double home run from the Yankees. I mean, I jumped on as soon as I could. I was so excited to talk about that. But the Browns have taken a little bit of that excitement from me, but that's why I think it's so important that you guys consider playing some fantasy football. So you can at least just enjoy the league for what it is, even if our team is terrible. I still like the game. I still like the sport. Maybe invest in some sports cards. Get a couple cards. Then they pull for some different players, even if they go to different teams or something. There's many different ways to be a fan, but I really just like seeing good performances. I like watching good players make good plays for good teams. And of course, the spectacular. You always hate to see an injury. To anyone that's making a big deal out of fans booing or cheering with Watson, like, all right, number one, I saw the video that's been going around where the crowd is chanting, "You deserve it. You deserve it." Look, when I watch that, because I was watching the game at a place where the sound was on, but it wasn't particularly easy to hear all of the commentary and the sound. When I watched that clip, my heart sank a little bit, not because I was embarrassed, but because it's so bad that it's gotten to that. I don't think Watson deserves that. Maybe he does. Maybe he is a predator and a creep. I haven't seen a court prove that yet, and I think we all have at least a little bit of leeway, a little bit of grace. But by the way, that's a fake clip. That's a fake clip of a crowd chanting from a WWE event. So that didn't happen. But then people are like, oh, I can't believe people were cheering that when Watson got injured and was on the ground and people realized it, people started cheering and they were so excited. I was at the Tim Couch, Kelly Holcomb game. I believe that was against the Ravens as well. And when Tim Couch got injured, I thought at that point that Kelly Holcomb should have been playing anyway. At this point, Deshaun Watson has given us several of the worst games we've seen in the NFL. I think he has the 2 worst games out of 7 games. The entire season, all the quarterbacks, he has the worst 2 of them, or something like that. Many fans thought it was time for anybody else to be playing quarterback. Don't have a quarterback. Get an extra lineman and just snap it directly to a running back. Why hasn't anybody tried that? I guess then you'd call that person the quarterback. You wouldn't have to. Many fans were saying it was time for anyone else to be playing. When it became obvious that that's what was going to happen, fans were excitedly cheering the next person to take the ball to, like, let's get things on track. So chill out with the "we hate Cleveland" energy. Ripping on Cleveland energy, sandbagging the fans energy, we're the worst fans of all energy. Why would any free agent come play here energy? Stop. And I know Myles Garrett and some of these players were asked, and it's like, oh, Deshaun's been a great stand-up person for most of his career. It's like, yeah, for most of his career, except what about all that other stuff? Were all of those fabricated? Is he a creep? I don't know. Baker might have rubbed you the wrong way, but aside from a rumor about a cheesecake factory, unconfirmed allegedly, didn't give off the creep vibes. But look, the fans at that moment at the Kelly Holcomb Tim Couch game were not cheering that Kelly the fans at that game were not cheering that Tim Couch was injured. Fans were cheering, "Let's go Holcomb. Come on, let's go. Let's get the points. I believe in you. I've been rooting for you. I'm glad you're getting to play." Like, how much can you convey in a clap? But I don't mean that I'm necessarily saying I'm ecstatic that the other quarterback that you were competing with, that he's also, I'm not happy to see him injured, but if that means that you get to play, I'm happy about that. But it's not because I'm happy he's injured. I'm so happy that, oh, my hands are getting tired. Oh, my shoulders too. Jeez. I had a lot to say in that clap. Guy behind me, he's like, come on, show some class. Don't cheer an injured player. I'm like, I'm cheering the next guy. I'm cheering for the next guy to succeed. I don't hate Tim Couch. I don't want to see him hurt. I'm cheering the next guy. It's like, how much are you supposed to have this conversation with some drunk yelling behind you that's now angry at you, thinking you're saying something you're not, and you're like, ah. That's what's kind of been going on. I've been seeing it in the national media. It makes for a fun story. I get it. And trust me, people have been on Team Baker against this trade from the beginning. And then there's all the Watson bros who were into the situation, but it never materialized. or just the regular fan that was just trying to root for their team, and they're just seeing a lousy quarterback play lousy football. And it's the advanced analytics of open receivers versus running yourself into a sack versus making one read and losing the pocket instead of making double, triple reads. The people breaking down the footage of Deshaun Watson show a completely confused quarterback that's just unable to perform up to the expectations of the NFL position of quarterback. People are happy that we get to see what Jameis Winston can do. Kevin Stefanski had him back on the depth chart, went to Dorian Thompson-Robinson, who promptly put no points on the board. I believe no points on the board, right? But he did have 2 interceptions before, I believe, injuring a finger. So maybe the Dorian Thompson-Robinson era is over. Browns have signed Bailey Zappi. So he's on the roster, formerly of, where was he? He played at Western Kentucky or Eastern Kentucky. Got drafted to the Patriots, I believe. So he's out there. It's just, you look at Kareem Hunt scoring touchdowns with the Kansas City Chiefs, and you go, why didn't he stay on the team? I don't get it. Why? I think building some continuity is important. In the bean counters and Dee Podesta and Andrew Berry, who kicked the can financially down the road like I've only ever seen out of Congress. Oh, is he taking Jimmy for a ride? The deferred payments, the bonuses, the cap hits that are coming. Oh, goodness. But the bean counters don't understand culture. They don't understand the damned football room. The Pittsburgh Steelers have had what, like 3 coaches in 100 years? Okay, not exactly, but between Bill Cowher and Omar Epps and jeez, who do you go back to after Bill Cowher and Omar Epps? Chuck Noll? There's something to be said about continuity, about people that understand your scheme and your system and the terminology and the just their overall comfort level in a space, and then it bleeds into the other team, the other players on the team. But then someone that comes in like Joe Flacco, who takes us to the playoffs. Yeah, and Flacco did what he always does. He throws interceptions. You're like, we also got outcoached. We were telegraphing stuff. We weren't running some good plays, and were the receivers running the right routes? There's a lot of reasons we lost that game. It's not like special teams and defense were perfect by any stretch. But it's like, why didn't we just bring back Flacco? We know what he could do. He turns David Njoku into a Pro Bowler. I'm for it. Like Mitch Hedberg said about forming a club. How do you feel about Philly toothpicks? I'm for him. Then we shall form a club. We'll go diagonal and cut the sandwich in half. And then cut it again. And in the middle, we shall pour chips or potato salad. All right. No matter how we slice this, the Browns season is in disarray, and there is blame to go around. I don't know if we're going to watch a tanking team or if we're about to see a team turn the corner with a healthy Nick Chubb, with a new Cedric Tillman as the number 1 receiver. I mean, he got a lot of attention his way, and maybe that's what we needed, especially since Amari was dropping the easy ones. The comment that prior to this game said if Amari makes 2 catches, the Browns are a 3-3 team. And most of the games we're losing were close. But come on, when you're missing a field goal, when you're missing an extra point, you're not leaving us a lot of room to not, Then again, you got to score more than 20 points to win games. So we're going to find out a lot from a pretty tough Ravens team who appear to be firing on all cylinders. On a short week, though. Let's see. Let's see what Browns team comes out with Ken Dorsey, Jameis Winston, Nick Chubb, and Cedric Tillman. Let's see how the fans treat the players. I wonder if they're going to boo Myles Garrett and some of the other ones who called out the fans, who were saying, like, you don't have a right to be excited to turn the page on this chapter. because this book sucks. I've been through 3 seasons of it, and I don't like this book. I don't like this author. I don't like this book. I'm setting it back up on the shelf. And if you shelve him for the next 2 years, I couldn't be any happier. I gave it 3 chapters, 3 seasons. I'm done. I thought the author was a creep to begin with. I did it as a favor to you, that I was trying to make this work. Come on. How about we win all of the rest of our games and this becomes a Disney movie? All right, maybe not Disney. An Angel Studio movie. I don't know, whoever makes movies. Remember the Titans, right? Bad News Bears, the team that turns it around. Look, while there's a mathematical chance that we could go on a several-game winning streak, let's root for that, maybe. Let's root for Nick Chubb to be on some winning games, some winning teams. Let's root for Nick Chubb to be a part of some games that we can win on our way to a playoff push. Let's give Jim Donovan a little bit more to cheer about, shall we? Let's cheer up the Indians fans that have to watch the Yankees for the next 2 weeks in the damned World Series. Come on. By the way, on that note, the Cavaliers are looking good. So maybe I'll bring back a Cavaliers show here on the Unhappy Hour. I'm going to get going because at 3 o'clock, I'm going to be doing the Agree to Disagree show, I believe with Blake Wally today. And then 5 o'clock, Strictly Football with Ancient Aliens, Mike Barra. We're on episode 8. Episode 8, I believe, of the Strictly Football show. Hit subscribe, hit like, and do all of those things. Find us on X at American_media_. On Rumble, start an account and find the New American Media. All of our content goes over there. X and Rumble are really the main 2 places I want you watching us. But you could also subscribe to our YouTube channel. 1,500 videos over 13 years. Sports and music and current events and all sorts of different stuff. By the way, we're debuting a movie. I don't even think it has a title to it. I'll have to title it. The working title is just called Help. And it'll be, Blake Wally and I went to Southern Virginia to go stay in a tattoo shop with our buddy Grizzly of Grizzly's Tattoo. And we made a donation run. Got a bunch of people, the New American Media viewers made some very nice donations. And we were able to make nice donations because of you, Cassie and Amber and Kenneth. Thank you so much. And then thank you to Advance Auto Parts and Dick's Sporting Goods and Lowe's of Louisville, who were able to load up my vehicle with necessary supplies, clean drinking water and gloves and goggles and headlamps and flashlights and shovels and disinfectant and backpacks and just gas cans, all sorts of supplies. They need stuff. Everything is washed away and covered in mold and covered in mud and 10 miles down the road, like broken into 100 pieces right now. So we went and told the story of a group of people looking to help collect some donations and move some more donations and collect further donations. So that project will be coming out soon. I've seen the first version, the second version. I've seen the first 5 minutes of the third version. Third version might be the final. And I look forward to sharing that with you. But follow the New American Media on all the places. And, of course, the Unhappy Hour Sports Show. All right, I'm going to hit pause. Thank you, everybody. I will be right back on the Agree to Disagree show, covering all of the latest election situation conversation. Shun. Yeah, that'll be coming up at 3.